It's probably not super shocking to you when I tell you that everything's moving super fast with AI. And I don't even mean the model releases where we get new models almost every week and we got a new best model every week, of course. I'm specifically referring to developer tools here, or these agentic engineering tools. It's only been a couple of weeks ago in January that I recorded and released a video where I shared my views on Claude Code, OpenCode, Cursor, and GitHub Copilot. Now, back then, I only used Codex for, I don't know, a few weeks and only here and there. But I have been heavily influenced by Peter Steinberger, who we of course all know from OpenClaw, which is an amazing story, but it's a different story. Because back in January already, I saw posts from him time to time where he mentioned that Codex is really amazing. And my understanding was and is that he's referring to both the model and probably also the AI coding agent, so an alternative to Claude Code. And that is when I started playing around with it too, but Claude Code was still my main driver back then, and in 2025 I've mostly used GitHub Copilot and Cursor and OpenCode. So yeah, I'm really switching a lot because of course I really like playing around with these different tools and seeing what they can do, which features they offer. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who liked having those different JavaScript frameworks back in 2019, so I guess I just like learning new stuff, but that's why I also enjoy diving into these tools. Codex by OpenAI is a really great agentic engineering tool, I have to say. And to be very clear right away, I wouldn't say it's better than Claude Code or Cursor, and that changes all the time anyways, but it's great. And there are a couple of reasons why I think that Codex is a great tool and might be worth a closer look. One reason is the Codex AI models. So yeah, the models have the same names as the tool. Here I'm talking about GPT 5.2 Codex and GPT 5.3 Codex. By the way, fun fact, GPT 5.3 was released in early February, and I became like a heavy Codex user in late January, so most of my time has been with this model. And GPT 5.2 was only in December, so yeah, those model releases are really getting close to each other, and the obvious reason is that, of course, OpenAI wants to compete with Anthropic and the Claude models, Opus. So yeah, there is that. But I will say the Codex models really are great. And to me, it feels like 5.3 Codex often takes a bit longer, but tackles certain tasks more thoroughly than Opus. But then again, really, I'm not in the camp of telling you that one model is so much better than the other, or that there are such huge differences between these tools. But what I do like about Codex, the tool now, not the model, is of course that it's powered by the models, but also that it has different form factors, different ways you can use it. For example, it has that, in my opinion, really amazing desktop app. At the point of time where I'm recording this, that only exists for Mac OS, but I think a Windows version is planned. By the way, I did create a new course about Codex, and I used Codex combined with Claude Code to build this Max Draw app, which I'm using in all these videos, which I've been using for the last weeks and months already. So that is built by me with those AI tools, and I got a lot out of that. That is why I basically condensed all my learnings, all my experiences, and how to use skills, how to work with work trees, how to offload tasks to the cloud. I put that all into a course, and if you're interested, if you want to learn that, you find a link to it below this video, of course. So this app, this native desktop app, is really amazing in my opinion. And I would say it gives us an idea of how agentic engineering could look like in the future. Because in this app, you don't primarily look at your code. There are no files here. Instead, here you have your sessions, and you can basically send your prompts to Codex and have it work on your tasks. And then you can always review changes in here. So here I have a conversation in a different project where I have changes, quite a lot of changes here actually. And you can then open this mode here where you can dive into the different files and see what changed compared to your last commit. And My workflow has definitely changed such that I don't write a lot of code myself anymore. I still do here and there, but I mostly architect the software and I steer the AI, and I try to do that very carefully and intentionally and have small tasks. But I then mostly spend my time reviewing, or not mostly, but a lot of my time is reviewing the code. Because what I don't do, I don't vibe away and just accept it blindly. Instead, I read the plans it makes, I change the plans it makes, and I do review the code. And I really like the look and feel of this app and how easy it is to work with the agent, switch between sessions, and also, review the code. And then there's a bunch of other useful stuff in there into which I also get in my course, of course, like working with work trees or cloud projects, and really great app, I have to say. I really like it a lot. Now, of course, if you don't like that app, or if you're on Windows and you can't use it yet, I will say Codex is first and foremost, of course, also a CLI tool, a terminal user interface like Claude Code. And it's a great one, I will say. It has just the right set of features, I feel like. And what's really great, doesn't sound like a big thing maybe, but it's written in Rust, which doesn't matter too much to me. I'm not in the Rust fanboy camp. Rust is a great language in my opinion though, but it's really good performance-wise. Where Claude Code can feel a bit sluggish and slow from time to time, this Codex CLI for me worked pretty much flawlessly. And again, just to be clear, Claude Code, Cursor, all amazing, but I will say it's a great CLI, and combined with that native app and the great model, I had a great time working with it. Now, what I find interesting is if we take a look at how these AI models developed and evolved, I mean, how these coding agents developed and evolved over time, not the models, the agents, it's really interesting. GitHub Copilot started in 2021. And back then it was just this autocompletion powered by a model named Codex, which has basically nothing to do with today's Codex. Then in 2023, we had Cursor, which was the big thing and still is a big thing. But to me, it feels like now in 2026, Claude Code and Codex are, right now at least, the more popular or hyped tools. Now, hype is a dangerous thing, especially in the AI space, and we have seen how quickly things change. I mean, Codex has absolutely been not hyped at all like a month ago, I would say. So that has only recently changed, and it can change again, though, again, it's a great tool. So there is some reason for the hype, but right now, to me, it feels like Cursor is almost, well, not dead, but it was the main agentic engineering tool like 3 months ago. And now it feels like it's declining and nobody's interested in it anymore, which I'm sure is wrong. That's just the X bubble I live in, which is probably not the best indicator, but still. It's interesting how quickly this changes. GitHub Copilot, for example, to me now feels more like it's maybe coming back because it was the first, then Cursor totally ate its breakfast or whatever you say, and then GitHub Copilot had a really hard time coming back, and now to me it feels like they are doing a better job here. I mean, with the latest version of Visual Studio Code, the whole agent interface was improved and modernized, and by the way, you can also use Claude Code and Codex from in there if you have the respective subscriptions and tools installed. So it feels like maybe this is having a comeback, and Cursor to me feels a bit like it's going down. And who knows, in 3 weeks or months, everything might be totally different again. Which I guess takes me back to an earlier point. I'm the kind of guy who didn't worry too much about all the JavaScript framework wars back in 2019. And no, not just because I create courses. I have not created courses on all the frameworks we had back then. I just genuinely like learning stuff and seeing where I can get the most use out of. Obviously, if you're in a job and you have a certain framework to work with or a certain tool to work with, that doesn't bother you at all. But for me, I like having all this innovation, and I'm super excited to see how these AI coding tools will evolve, what will be new and trending in a couple of months. And obviously, I'll try my best to keep my respective courses updated. I got courses on all these tools now because I've worked with all of them a lot. So I'll, of course, try to stay up to date there. But yeah, I will say it's a really interesting time to live in. It's so fast moving, and I totally get that this can also be intimidating. But at the same time, I feel like it's also really exciting to some degree. But yeah, I know not everybody shares that opinion for sure.